Hello, everybody. My name is Sean,
And I am Penguin.
and this is going to be round three, I think you said, of the Zeke NA Daily. And
Yes, I
our
believe that is
players.
correct.
Okay, that's good to know that I got that right. It is going to be in the top, sort of tiny bit to the right corner. It's going to be our Zerg player, Hyde, versus our Protoss player down in the bottom, slightly to the left corner, Bliss. It is a bit of a diamond shape. Why don't you talk a little bit more about these players? Because I totally forgot
Okie
what you
dokie.
told me in the pregame.
Okay then. Hyde is representing the Diamond League, and Bliss is representing the Master League. So
Interesting.
we're seeing Hyde sort of take the underdog role here, our little Zergy player. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. Always a fan of upsets, I have to say.
I am indeed one fan of upsets as well because any game in which I win is usually an upset. So, yeah, definitely the cross spawn, so we're probably going to see a little bit more of a macro game.
We
Metalopolis,
did
very,
see an
very
11 pool go down, though, from Hyde. Very interesting. Especially the placement there is very
holy
interesting as
11 pull.
well.
And if you notice, like, the 11 pull sort of went down in really good timing for Bliss to just come in and see it going down. And that's always cool to see. But then again, like, you do have a lot of players, mostly like, not mostly, but like especially like Destiny fans who have seen him play with that early 11 pull, go for that infestor lane play, and we may still see a macro game. But
We see
of
Bliss
course,
putting up a forge first, and it could be very interesting to see whether or not the harassment from Hyde, which I assume is coming in, ends up hitting before this wall ends up going up. 4 lings are on the way, as well as a queen, and there's nothing really going on at the bottom of this ramp for Bliss. He's going to throw up a cannon, but it's interesting to see whether or not that'll be able to hold these impending lings off. We're not seeing any gas from Hyde, though, who's just done another little extractor trick, so he will not be going for speed.
definitely.
He's
Yeah, I think
looking, it
you.
looks like he wants to expand as well. One thing I just noticed, sorry, Sean. He wants to
Yeah, sure.
expand, and interesting little opening to go for 11 pool, then expand.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting opening. Would probably like to see a little bit more aggression, a little bit more of your legs being
Sean, you there?
topish left corner, um, with his probe there. Not going to go for a pylon there. Actually, bypassing that lane pretty quickly, uh, quite barely, and maybe going for a pylon here. And definitely, if you're going to go for that 11 pull, you have to capitalize on those lanes. Otherwise, you're simply just giving up some economy unnecessarily.
Yes, and we do see that in the drone count as well. 17 drones to 18 probes. Naturally, the Zerg always want to be ahead, but the Protoss does hold that advantage right now.
Indeed, and not really to any trade-off. He doesn't seem to be trading anything away except for a slightly higher unit count. And I have to say, a single ling outside of the natural doesn't really seem to be worth those 3 drones that could have come out much earlier.
And we are going to be seeing the expansions go up almost simultaneously. Very nice drone transfer by Bliss, landing there at the minerals right when the Nexus went up. But as you said before, Hyde is taking the lead in the worker count, but he's not really having any of the leads that Zerg players really want to have. And he is being blocked his third. He's throwing up a fast third, trying to get that economic advantage. Will be throwing up that fast third. Bliss, however, does know about it, sees it with the probe, and it'll be interesting to see what he does in this little position. Throwing up a Stargate. Sorry, just saying that quickly. Throwing up a Stargate. Very interesting. Could be going for some Void Ray harass on that third, maybe the natural. We're not seeing no Evo Chamber, no anti-air coming up yet by Hyde, so it could be very effective to see some Void Ray harass.
Definitely could. I would be a lot less surprised by the Stargate, were it close by air spawn. But even so, that Void Ray does travel across the map pretty fast, so it could still do quite a lot of damage. But that all comes down to the effectiveness of the scout, really. With those cannons up, not really going to get a ling into the main.
Especially with that sentry there.
especially with that sentry, and there don't seem to be any overlords around. So it looks like this Stargate is going to go unscouted, and he is not going to see it until it's at least until it's far too late.
Void Ray is already on the way, about halfway done already. He's going to have some lings set up to... He has this one ling set up here to be able to see if he tries to take a third. This ling here to see if he moves out. But he doesn't have any gateway units other than those two sentries. So he's going to be a bit surprised if... by that Void Ray, it looks like. And we're seeing a lair. And, lair metabolic boost. He's getting another queen, but that's only at his third. We're not seeing any sort of... the double Evo chambers are going up for upgrades, but they will not be there in time. Void Ray already moving out towards the third, and a Phoenix is on the way.
Note the pylon in the main by the close by respawn to Hyde, which we could be going for some warp in play here at this pylon at the center to distract from the Void Ray, or maybe some Void Rays to distract from the pylon warp in, and going for some multi-prong attack here.
He is chrono boosting out the Phoenixes from that Stargate, and he will be able to take out that queen with relative ease with this Void Ray. I don't think it should even have any permanent damage done to its health. But we are seeing the anti-air being thrown up, but I don't see that being early enough. The queen goes down, and he's going to be focusing down these...
This Void Ray is going to do so much damage here at the third. I do not think that this third is going to be mineable for some time.
We are seeing several Spore Crawlers go up in the main and the natural, as well as a Hydralisk Den having just finished. But right now, we're not really seeing anything that will hint at this third staying alive. Graviton Beam being used on both of the queens as the Void Ray is going to be able to fully charge, take those out with relative ease. Even more damage on the, to the credit of the Void Ray. Does go down, though, after taking out that first queen of those little reinforcements.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of mismanagement. Like it's always nice to have a Void Ray because they're so good in any kind of area, in any kind of scenario in the game. They're so very good. That aside, let me comment on putting down that Robo and that third gate immediately as soon as the Void Ray hit. Like that's the kind of foresight that gets you a lot further than say like people with your level of macro but don't have the foresight to put down that Robo as soon as you get the Void Ray over, and that's really good play from Bliss.
We are seeing Hyde take out this forward pylon at the close by air spawn there, but he's looking ready. He's looking like he's gearing up to take this expansion here, to take his third, and his fourth, fifth, and sixth gateways are now finishing. So we could be seeing a very strong gateway army push, and we don't really see any units on the field for Hyde. We only really see one Hydralisk, 5 Zerglings, and he hasn't even sacrificed that for a massive drone lead either. He only has 4 drones more than his opponent has probes.
That said, I really don't. I cannot say that I liked that engagement where he took out that Hydralisk, but lost a Phoenix. Phoenix definitely so much more expensive than Hydra's. Not a good trade for him. At the same time, Hyde doesn't have all that many units out. He does have the Hydra count nice and high at this point, and I think this would be a good time for Bliss if he has that game sense. He will put down that Robo Bay and start getting some Colossi.
That said, the Robo Bay is almost finished, actually, and
definitely
just down here in the natural. But one of the things, speaking about that Phoenix engagement, I think what he was planning on doing was just forcing him to go with more Hydras. He does lose all 3 Phoenix there to those Hydralisks without dealing any damage whatsoever. But a Hydra-Ling army is not going to do well against Colossus. That much can be said. Also, just as we said, third is going up.
I feel like Hyde is overcommitting in his tech and maybe underestimating his opponent here, which is definitely a mistake, especially considering how much damage he's managed to do to you so far. This Stalker Immortal Sentry army is sort of I would say is fairly vulnerable to that army of Lings and Hydras, because you're going to have to use the force fields on those Lings, allowing the Hydras basically to have open season on your gateway units. So it's going to come down to how much damage this Colossus can do.
The Colossus is tearing apart those Hydralisks right there. The force fields absolutely obliterating the Zerglings. And I think all that Bliss lost was a couple of cannons there. Horrific engagement for Hyde, and I think he's spitting out as many roaches as he possibly can. But that Immortal could totally turn the tide of this damage. Extended Thermal Lance should be done before they hit the bases. And I feel like Bliss could be about to win this game with this push. Or
This
not,
push
he's
could
pulling
definitely
home.
do a lot of damage, but Hyde's got a lot of economy, so he's going to be able to get some units out pretty fast. And Hyde definitely going for those roaches now, which are a lot stronger against for tanking Colossus damage and getting under those force fields. So I don't know. He is getting tunneling claws, and let's
Burrow
see if
has
that
already
Burrow
been
tech.
researched.
Burrow
Yes.
has already been researched.
Yes.
And that is just some good game sense from Hyde, just getting that tech, realizing maybe he overcommitted a little bit to those Hydras, and not making that mistake again. Let's see if maybe Bliss will get another Void Ray maybe to help against those roaches.
He's throwing up a Twilight Council instead. I think one of the things, given the Zealot count, he'll probably be going for Zealot Charge, or he could be using that to simply just tech further into either High Templar or Dark Templar. And one of the things I also wanted to say is that the Spire is going up, and Corruptors could really turn the tide of this, especially with Roaches being able to tank those gateway units.
Definitely. Those Corruptors, very, 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 like, I would say Corruptors can be either win you the game or lose you the game based on how many you make. You definitely don't. If you make too few, you can lose. If you make too many, you can lose. But that money number can definitely get you in to that Protoss ball and just really, really, really rip it apart.
One of the things to notice, though, is that Hyde actually has a pretty significant supply lead and only 7 more workers, so he does actually have quite a bit more army supply. Tunneling Claws has, of course, finished, and he's also got 2 upgrades.
But another thing to keep in mind is he only has 7 more workers, and I know that's exactly what you just said, but meanwhile, you've got Bliss ready to take his 4th, and if he gets that worker count up fairly fast, in fact, he doesn't even need to, because he's, as soon as he mines out his main, he's going to go straight into his 4th. And with the worker lead, Zergs usually will mine out of their main faster, so he's going to have to take that expansion.
One of the things I have to interject here, I have to interject to say there is a fleet beacon going up. We could be seeing some mothership play. And as you were saying, you were talking about how that Corruptor number can kill you or win the game for you. With only 2 Colossus out, I think 11 Corruptors might just be far too much. And last thing before I let you talk, we are seeing a 10th gateway. 10 gateways, 8 through 10 are going up. 10 gateways, that is going to be a lot of reinforcements.
I would definitely agree that 11 Corruptors is a little much to deal with 2 Colossi.
Again, I have to interrupt one more time.
Coming up, he could be going into a straight up build order tech switch loss if he loses that mothership too fast, because that's a lot of money to be losing.
One of the things I have to just throw out there right now, first of all, Hive Tech is almost done. Second of all, Dark Shrine is almost done. We could be seeing some Dark Templar shenanigans, and he will also see that Corruptor count, so he will know he doesn't want to go for the mothership straight away.
Definitely. At this point in the game, I don't know if he would get DTs.
Engagement at the 3rd of Bliss. This army is not getting a very good concave. Force Field's doing very, very well. Burrowing those roaches under.
Getting his roaches out of there, not going to do much damage with those roaches against such a huge army. And getting those Hydras that do get turned to goo by Colossi in their own turn.
Bliss has this forward pylon next to the 4th and the 5th of Hyde. This could come in very big handy just to sort of take down these drones that just sort of transferred over. Also, another engagement in that the natural does not look like he'll have anywhere near the numbers that he needs to take this out. The Roach is getting absolutely torn apart by both the Colossi and the Gateway army.
My goodness. And the Corruptors coming in way too late. That is too little too late. And the Corruptors are going to have to scoot out of there as soon as they snipe this Colossus, or they are going to go down too. Definitely good to take out that Colossus.
Oh, those Corruptors are going down, but he absolutely needs to keep those Corruptors alive with the mothership on its way out.
The mothership is on its way out.
And these Corruptors are just dying. There is nothing going on with these Corruptors. No micro to speak of whatsoever. He's just letting them die down to 4. I'm sorry, I meant 1. Never mind, 0 Corruptors.
Definitely, but at the same time, definitely want to keep making units because you don't want to die to that counterattack. I don't know if the corruptor count is definitely, he's going to be building more corruptors, and that is a good idea.
He's grabbing the
Uh,
Greater Spire as well. I think we could be looking at him trying to get some more, to get some Broodlords out, which is not what he
if he
needs
gets
against
those
his
if
Mothership.
he gets those broodlords out before he sees the mothership, that could be devastating for him because his corruptor count will not be high enough in order to take out that mothership.
2 Dark Templar have been thrown into the mix of this Gateway army, which is going to be very effective if there's not enough detection there to really see it. And yes, oh no, never mind. They're not in the army. They have been thrown out at this forward pylon to take down these 2 bases. Both bases looking ready to go down. Yes,
And
the Dark Templar
yeah,
take down base number 4
absolutely
and
no,
base number 5. Too little, too late with the reinforcing roaches. And he hasn't even brought detection.
has no detection. He has absolutely no detection, Penguin. He is definitely going to get so many kills, at least do so much damage. And look at this, Hyde sending 5 overseers. I have no idea why he has so many overseers. This is exactly the kind of things that can lose you a game.
No, I actually do think
At
that
high
I know
level
why.
play.
I do think I know why. On the one hand, I think he's worried about his overseers getting sniped. And those overseers will be incredibly key with this mothership now on the field.
Absolutely, but I just don't know why he would send all 5 of those overseers to one place where there's nothing that can snipe it. Much better to have one overseer go there and send the other overseers to another place that will be left vulnerable by moving the roaches that could be used to defend it otherwise.
We are
So,
seeing a Broodlord being morphed in. I'm not sure if there are any more. No, it's just going to be the one Broodlord at this point in time. 3-3 upgrades almost done. The upgrade advantage, really the one thing that's going well for Hyde right now. Who, to his
absolutely.
credit, for the man who is in the Diamond League playing against the Master Leaguer, he is putting on a hell of a show for us.
Which one is Diamond and which one's Masters again?
Hyde is Diamond, Bliss is Masters.
Oh, okay, okay.
A little
Well,
bit of an arch. Oh, these roaches are going to be tearing apart these cannons relatively easily. It'll be interesting to see if they can take down this expansion. Yes, they should be able to take this expansion down. It goes down before the army can get there. Does he have the burrow? Where is the burrow?
And here's the beautiful thing about engaging away from your base. You can just engage away from your natural and just keep attacking. These absolutely nothing, and then he can just mass recall whenever he feels he needs to.
Given the concave, I'm actually very surprised at how that battle went. 3-3 versus 1-3. I was really expecting Hyde to pull out a better, more cost-effective fight there, but Bliss was able to really tear those roaches apart, and that is really the problem with having a mass tier 1 army.
I think that's the nice thing about this Immortal. It took absolutely no damage, and so it can just continue to fire off its shots. And the Colossus gave some good DPS increase as well, which is why you want that tier 2, tier 3 mix. You want to have some Hydras, and you want to have those
6 Broodlords on the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there, as well as Pathogen Glands. I also have to notice that Hyde has this gold expansion, and there's nothing mining from it. He also has 1,400 gas in the bank. So.
I have to interrupt you there. The mass recall into the
ooh, brutal.
The whatever base of Hyde going to do so much damage. He's going to snipe that base, and he's going to go straight for the 4th. And this is going to do so much damage.
Force fielding the queen out.
Down. He cannot reinforce and
blinks down.
And he's going to blink right back up as soon as those reinforcements get there. And that is just fantastic play from Bliss.
The 7 Broodlords, quite a few Broodlords. And it'll be interesting to see how they sort of turn, how they do against this. But against Blink Stalkers, that won't be very good. Blink Stalkers, of course, can just blink right under those Broodlords and just do terrible, terrible damage.
Note how the mothership, as soon as it did the mass recall, moved straight back. This guy has been watching. Oh, Bliss, you have been watching your Q.
And another mass recall, just to
exactly how to use that mothership.
Not using the mothership offensively, as we see so many people doing. Well, not so many people, but as we see more often, people try to use the mothership offensively, and then it'll have to get neural parasited, or it'll get shot down by corruptors so fast that it's just not a worthwhile investment. But using it as a sort of defensive. And using it just for its sort of mass recall ability is just a fantastic, fantastic idea.
Well, now you can see in the production tab, getting Archons, it looks like he is going to be using that mothership a little bit more. Now that the Broodlord count has gotten high, this is very, very, very good play from Bliss.
He's throwing up about 1,000 more gateways as well.
absolutely getting gateways, going to be getting a lot of DTs, morphing them into Archons, going with that Protoss Ball, forcing them to get Corruptors and Broodlords,
These
and then
Broodlords
going for the Archon Toilet.
Actually, no, the Mothership is moving away from the battle towards his
Looks like he's going to keep
fourth.
doing that mass recall play.
He's taking a lot of damage here, but Roaches are not going to be... Actually, no, I lied. The Broodlords are really able to turn the tide of this battle and do tons of damage. No Broodlord even takes damage. Hyde with a fantastic victory there.
I feel like what he really needed was a Vortex. I felt like that Vortex would have done so much.
I agree, Sean. And we're seeing Hyde now with an almost 80 supply lead. Bliss desperately trying to snipe this fourth base just to do as much damage as he can before going down. He does successfully take that down, but he's had some very nice fungal play, Hyde, as well. All of a sudden, this game has changed. The state of this game has just changed completely.
This game is has been a pretty big tug of war, and it's just basically which side can switch up its tech fastest. It seems that when one side just seems to be ready, the reaction time of the other player seems to go up, and the reaction time of the player and the advantage just seems to go down. But 3 more Archons being morphed, and definitely still has that Mothership. It is at half 50% of its energy, which is enough for 1 mass recall or 1 vortex. So hopefully he will learn from that engagement and use the Archons to the best of their ability and go for that vortex.
One thing that I just felt like pointing out, just because I counted and I can count, I am good at math. He has, I think, almost 20 gateways, so he's able to reinforce pretty fast, but he doesn't have the resources. One of the things I noticed just before is that he had 9 idle workers, and having that many gateways and just not being able to reinforce could end up losing him this game. And I think we are going to be needing to see him using that vortex to try to win the upcoming engagement.
I think that's a very big mistake that Diamond to Masters Protoss make a lot in this. And if I did actually see this in the Day 9 Daily. He was talking about this, and there's definitely very good insight. This engagement.
Sorry, engagement going down. He does vortex the Broodlords and gets all of the Infestors.
Is he going to get that Archon in there? He's not going to get
the Archons. Are not going to get in there,
but
yes, the Archons are going in at the very last second. Fantastic micro, and that's a lot of splash damage, but not enough to really win him that fight. And there is a Colossus at very, very low health at the back.
I think we're going to see the effects of that once those Stalkers get their blink in, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And Hyde doing a great
the Overseer is able to really change the tide of that battle, but I have to say, there's just not, he doesn't have enough money to reinforce properly. Hyde with a very big supply lead right now, and he actually has one less worker, which means that his army supply lead is absolutely massive right now.
He is managing to force Broodlords to fire close to them, allowing the Stalkers to get close, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The Mothership might be the saving grace, able to shoot at the Broodlords.
He's down to 3 Broodlords. 2 Broodlords. Does take out the Broodlords, except for that one. Will actually chase after it. Try to take that one down. Where's that Overseer? I don't see an Overseer. How is he seeing those?
Fantastic break for Bliss.
Oh. 11 Corruptors going up. I think Hyde has realized that he needs to take that Mothership out, and with 11 Corruptors on the way, that will really allow him to sort of
don't expect to see all that many Broodlords anymore. Might go for a couple of Banelings maybe to try and counter that Archon Toilet. I don't know. I don't know if that strat works if you haven't practiced it enough, but at the same time, Bliss really struggling to get that money together right now.
He's mined out of his main, mined out of his natural, almost mined out of his third, only now getting his gold, and looking over at Hyde. Hyde just has so much more going for him as far as income goes. He's got a very nicely set. Oh, a DT going into this base though. No detection. DTs are attacking both the 4th and the 5th. And with no detection anywhere nearby, he is bringing in a couple of Infestors, able to fungal growth that.
Trying to wall in that Spore Crawler, and that seems to have been a bit of a waste of money. But I just feel like that DT did get some damage in, but at the same time, Bliss needs to get this gold up and running.
I would like to just throw out there that we're seeing so many Corruptors. We're seeing 15 Corruptors on the field. And other than the Mothership, and a couple of Colossi, there's nothing to fire at with those. And this could be just what you were talking about earlier, him having too many corruptors for his own good. And there is also a warp prism on the map. Going to be able to warp in some units into that lovely little area over here, known as the fourth, and the fifth base.
But now you see that
Six broodlords on the way. That's a lot of zealots. 12 zealots being warped in at the sixth. Just going to be able to tear that base apart, I feel like. Yeah, relative ease.
That's a lot of zealots, and zealots are so good against spine crawlers. It is not even funny. And it looks like Bliss getting back into.
He's able to block that last. He's able to block that last spine crawler with those drones, but he's going to be losing a lot of drones, and he's not in the sort of situation where he can afford to lose that much saturation.
And if he takes out that spore crawler, he can warp in some DTs now.
The spore crawler is down.
No detection at this base.
He has the infestors, of course, which can fungal growth, but
at the same time, like if he can, that's some good damage being done by pure mineral units.
We're seeing we're seeing a fantastic basically this game has been back and forth, and now, Bliss does have the worker lead now, but it'll be interesting to see.
Look at the mineral count. Bliss definitely has that better mineral income now.
Definitely. And the gold for Hyde is almost completely mined out.
Not able to close out the game when he had the income lead. Definitely now behind in that income because that mining base is getting sniped repeatedly.
Yes, just looking in here though, one of the things that you also might want to notice is that it's going to be very, very difficult for him to keep these bases at the far left. It's going to be very difficult for him to keep those up with the close by air spawn. And the gold is mined out, the main is mined out, the natural is mined out, and the third is mined out. These are the only two bases he has left with mineral patches. And if Bliss can keep on those that harassment, it's going to be very, very difficult for Hyde to really come back from this.
And while these DTs are getting sniped left and right, at the same time they are getting snipes as well left and right because they are on the left side and the right side at the same time. Hyde does not know where to put his detection. He's just going. His broodlords just seem to be going in. He's like
the infestation pit has been sniped. Ooh, the tech. Hyde's tech just being sniped all over the place. There is nothing left in his main base except for this hive and a couple of extractors.
Is still there.
Where is that?
Hive can go down.
Ah, yes. And the engagement at the gold. Losing a lot of probes here. The mothership is going forward. The mothership may end up falling. But no. He's managed with the vortex.
Kill the mothership with, and he's going to be getting a lot of damage done on those broodlords. Will he be able to get the broodlords in range? He will be able to get them in range in time. And he's going to have to pull back that mothership. Otherwise, he's going to be in some serious trouble. He could have gone for the neural parasite, and that's exactly
what is a neural parasite right there. And he's not going to be utilizing it though. He's not doing anything with that mothership. Now he's going to run in, but the neural parasite's almost done. He has this massive army just there waiting to tear apart this Hydra.
And now there's absolutely no way to snipe that infestor. The one thing that the infestor doesn't have is range. And now the infestor
he has pulled back from the gold. Bliss has surrendered his gold. The mothership is down, but he's gone straight back into producing another one. 10 corruptors also on the way.
And I will say that now Bliss only on 2 base as of now. Hyde mined out of the gold and does not have any money. Both players are quickly nearing the point of the game where they're just going to have to 1A their units into each other, and it's all going to come down to the micro of
both of the mining bases of Hyde go down to 1 DT and a bunch of zealots. And the only defense here is corruptors.
Both players, let's check out the income tab. Oh my god, there's no income for the Zerg player, and now it looks like Bliss could be the victor of this game simply on account of the fact that he can actually make units, and Hyde has absolutely no
we're seeing infested Terrans go up at both of the mining bases of Bliss, and Bliss will no longer be able to mine resources either at this point.
Oh my
These zealots are absolutely tearing everything apart.
Enough to snipe that base. The health going down so slowly.
Oh, those drones are just dying. They're being roasted by the Colossus. The gold base that no longer has any minerals for Hyde going to be going down to Bliss. Bliss losing almost nothing.
But the difference between a mined out Nexus and a mined out hatchery is that the hatchery still makes units. and that's going to be what influences the end of the game. But at the same time, not much money for this rate. He can't make any more units except for maybe one more infester
We're
or
seeing
two more.
nothing in the production tab, nothing right now being made by either player. And while Bliss has a much larger army, it's going to come down to the micro of Hyde, because of course infestors can do incredible things if well microed.
Infestors can do incredible things, but what I feel like it's going to be is these Broodlords. I think these Broodlords, if they can stay alive, I don't know what Bliss is
Broodlord's
doing.
taking
Those
tons of things
infestors are
out.
so far away. I don't know why he isn't going in with this mothership and with those blink stalkers. They could be doing so much
He's
damage. And
doing
the
nothing.
drones are
He's just
coming
sort of
in
sitting and
and just
letting
going to
everything be
all
taken
for
out.
Hyde.
No, I see what's happening. He's going for the base race. These Zealots and DTs are taking out all of the buildings. Hyde is being revealed and only has 2 more buildings.
If he can just snipe these blue Broodlords, the game would be over.
The game
for
is
all
already going to be over any
purposes.
second. He has Zealots here destroying the last 2 buildings of Bliss, of Hyde, and Bliss has plenty more buildings where those came from. Corruptors sitting
Bliss.
here not doing anything.
I'm
Wow,
surprised.
although there's a bunch of Zealots here not doing anything, these Zealots, oh, he's bringing in the DTs. I think this game is over. I think Bliss has just won this game.
Anyway, Hyde getting back into this game.
And game. GG from Hyde. Well played by both of the players. That was positively one of the most intense, probably the most intense game I've ever cast. GG to both of them. Wow, congratulations, Bliss.
I will tell you this. Hyde can go back to his friends and his diamond level players, and he can say, "I took a Masters into a 43-minute long macro game," and that is quite an achievement,
It is an
especially
incredibly good achievement. Wow.